Has anyone ever warned you that life after 80 might feel more like enduring than enjoying? It's something few people are willing to admit. Truth is, getting older doesn't always mean mornings filled with peace or days rich with reflection. Sometimes, it means navigating leg pain and burdens you never thought you'd carry. You've come so far, faced hardships, given so much, built a life worth remembering. But once your 80s arrive, the world starts shifting around you in ways you might never have imagined until you're in it. Your reflection might stay the same for a while, but your stamina, memory, and independence begin to fray like a threadbare cloth. What no one told you, and what retirement brochures conveniently leave out, is that this phase of life can stretch you emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. This isn't about creating fear. It's about opening eyes. This script is for those navigating the quieter truths that come with life after 80, the changes people rarely discuss, but many deeply feel. These aren't meant to discourage you but to equip you, so you can face each day with strength, grace, and autonomy. We're diving into 7 difficult but essential truths about aging past 80, because knowledge isn't defeat, it's power. Let's begin with the first one. Truth number 1, the vanishing circle of companionship. By the time you reach 80, your phone doesn't buzz as often, not necessarily because you're forgotten, but because so many who once called are no longer here to do so. One of the heaviest truths about this age is losing your people. Friends pass, neighbors relocate to care homes, and even family become distant as their lives grow hectic. It's not only death. It's the gradual fading of familiar faces. That friend you had lunch with every week? She's no longer around. The voice that used to call after church? Gone. And what hits the hardest? Those people aren't replaced. Younger generations don't always fill the same space in your heart. This shrinking network doesn't just change your calendar, it starts to chip away at your spirit. Loneliness isn't always about being alone. Sometimes, it's the quiet feeling that no one remembers the best version of you. That no one is left to check in. That fewer people truly know your story. And when those meaningful connections disappear, your sense of identity can fade too. You may start asking yourself, do I still matter? Would anyone notice if I just stayed in bed today? But here's where you regain control. You can plant new roots. Many older adults volunteer, not just to be useful, but to feel seen. Some find comfort in a chat with the same store clerk each week. Others discover joy in a local senior book club. You don't have to rebuild the past. You just have to keep from drifting alone in the silence. If you've been feeling this emptiness, if the absence of familiar voices weighs on you, you're not imagining things. This is one of the hardest transitions. But acknowledging it, and seeking out even one new bond, can change your days. Because your story? It's still being written. And somewhere out there, someone still wants to hear it. Truth number 2, the body's quiet rebellion. Your body after 80 doesn't just age, it negotiates with you. One day your knees carry you with ease. The next they argue with every step. It's not a sudden collapse, it's the slow rebellion. A stiffness that sneaks in. An appetite that comes and goes. A nap that feels less like a luxury and more like survival. Most expect a gradual decline. But what catches people off guard is how unpredictable it becomes. You sleep soundly for a few nights, then suddenly stare at the ceiling at 3 a.m. Your digestion might rebel against meals you've eaten all your life. It's like your body is quietly changing the rules without any notice. This inconsistency creates frustration. Is this a new baseline or just a passing thing? Should you book a doctor's visit or give it time? That uncertainty wears you down. It's not just the discomfort, it's the emotional strain of no longer feeling secure in your own skin. Others around you, especially younger people, may not notice. You still crack jokes. You still do the chores. But they don't see how much effort it takes to keep up that rhythm. They don't see how you plan outings around good hours, or how you skip certain meals just to avoid discomfort, or how you sit, not out of exhaustion, but because standing makes your knees tremble. And the hardest part? This slow unraveling doesn't stop. It doesn't follow a clean timeline. One day, you feel vibrant and hopeful. The next, older than you ever imagined, and that hope slips just a little. But hear this, you are not weak. You are adjusting. That's strength. Routines, no matter how small, can help. Warm water in the morning. Gentle stretching before bed. A short step into the sunlight. These acts send a message: you're still with your body. Still rooting for it. Still learning how to move alongside change, not against it. Aging well doesn't mean resisting what's coming. It means growing wiser in how you respond to it. Truth number 3, the circle keeps shrinking. One of the most difficult changes after 80 is watching your social world grow smaller, and sometimes that happens gradually, other times it feels like everyone disappears all at once. Those friends you used to call each week? They stop picking up. The neighbor you chatted with over coffee? She moved or passed on. Even your own children, the ones who once relied on you for everything, become consumed by their own routines. It's rarely out of neglect or intention. Life just shifts. Your children might now be grandparents themselves, juggling jobs, doctor visits, and family events. They still love you, but those hour-long calls? They become short texts. The visits that used to last the whole day? Now they're squeezed between errands. You may tell yourself, they're just busy this month. But weeks stretch into months, and then holidays feel quieter than they used to. You catch yourself holding on to old conversations because new ones are harder to come by. And let's not ignore the physical changes. Maybe driving at night isn't safe anymore. Maybe noisy restaurants are hard to follow. Even the idea of getting dressed for an event feels exhausting. So even when you get invitations, you weigh the cost. And often, the cost feels too high. And this starts a dangerous loop. The less you engage with others, the more invisible you begin to feel. The more invisible you feel, the less likely others are to notice you fading from view. It isn't cruelty. It's just life, and it hurts. A woman named Eleanor, 84, once shared that her loneliest moment each day wasn't when she sat alone. It was realizing that no one was waiting for her to arrive, or hoping she'd call. She missed one weekly event at the senior center, and no one asked where she was. But here's the message: a smaller circle doesn't mean a smaller life. You don't need a crowd to feel connection. Just 1 or 2 people, a trusted neighbor, a book club companion, someone who sees you, can make all the difference. Sometimes that means you have to be the one to reach out. Write that letter. Say yes to that invitation. Speak up, even when silence feels easier. Offer your wisdom. Mentor someone younger. Tell your stories out loud. Because someone out there needs them. And even if your audience is smaller now, your voice still carries great value. Truth number 4, living beyond the people you love. There's a quiet kind of grief that comes with outliving those closest to your heart. And in your 80s, this doesn't happen once, it becomes a pattern. It's not just one goodbye. It's many. You lose friends who knew your teenage years. You say farewell to siblings who shared your childhood, and sometimes, to the person you built your entire adult life with. That kind of grief doesn't just leave you sad, it can make you feel like the keeper of forgotten moments. You remember the story behind the dent in the garage. The joke from 1963 that no one else gets. You look around and realize, you're the only one left who remembers. There's a special kind of loneliness in that. It's not about being physically alone. It's about carrying a history no one else shares. You might even feel something like guilt, not from doing something wrong, but from surviving when others didn't. You replay phone calls you didn't make, decisions you wonder about. The grief doesn't vanish. It just changes shape. One man named Walter, now 87, said the hardest part of aging wasn't his failing vision or his sore back. It was the way he still reached for 2 coffee mugs each morning, out of habit. Or the way he sometimes heard his late wife's voice in his head, answering a question he never asked out loud. But here's what rarely gets said: there's strength in being the one who remembers. There's bravery in waking up in a quiet house and choosing to keep going. There's honor in carrying someone's legacy with you. Keep telling those stories. Keep saying their names. That's how love stays alive. Truth number 5, the silent loss of personal control. Even when you feel capable, when your mind is sharp, and your will is strong, there's a slow shift after 80 that can feel like losing your grip on your own freedom. It starts subtly. Your daughter insists on driving you, even when you know you're still okay behind the wheel. Your son questions your medication, your sleep schedule, your dinner choices, not out of malice, but out of worry. At first, it feels like love. But over time, it begins to feel like you're not in the driver's seat anymore. That's when frustration settles in. You've lived a full life. You've made countless decisions. And now suddenly your opinion is guided, checked, or even quietly overridden. You may feel ignored during conversations, like your preferences are being gently dismissed. One woman, Judith, 84, shared how her daughter began planning out her entire day, from meals to TV shows. And though it came from a place of care, it made her feel like a child in her own home. Judith said, "It's not that I can't make choices, it's that people stop asking me if I want to." This is one of the invisible battles of aging, trying to hold on to your voice when others are sure they know what's best. It's not about being stubborn. It's about dignity. About the basic right to have a say in your own life. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's essential. You can say, "I know you care, but I'd like to do this myself." You can voice discomfort when something doesn't feel right. People may resist at first, but if they love you, they'll listen. Because protecting your independence, even in small ways, keeps you connected to the world in a way that still matters. Choosing what to eat, how to spend your morning, what to read, these aren't trivial. They're expressions of your identity. And age doesn't erase the need to be seen. Truth number 6. The emotional weight of loss. One of the deepest burdens that comes with aging, especially after 80, isn't the pain in your knees or the stiffness in your back. It's the emotional toll of absence. You start to notice that the people who once filled your days, who made the phone ring, who brought warmth to holidays, slowly fade away. Friends pass. Siblings drift. In some cases, your spouse, the one person you imagined would be beside you forever, is gone. What's left behind isn't just sadness. It's a quietness that seeps into your daily life. And this grief? It doesn't come in loud sobs or dramatic moments. It often comes in stillness. You wake up and realize there's no one to share that old story from your 20s with. No one who really remembers how you laughed, how you danced, or the inside jokes that made you who you were back then. This kind of loneliness doesn't shout, it hums softly in the background, like static on an old radio. Constant, quiet, and always there. For many, this leads to feeling unanchored, like the world is moving forward while pieces of your past are disappearing. And no one teaches you how to mourn that. No one prepares you for the emotional strength it takes to get up every morning, to smile, to engage, while carrying that invisible weight. A man named Charles, 87, once said, "I've been to more funerals in the last 5 years than I can count. And each time, it's like a small piece of my life goes with them." That's a sentiment many carry. But few say aloud. Because by now, loss has simply become part of life. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't acknowledge it. What helps many older adults stay grounded is choosing, despite the risk of more loss, to keep opening themselves to life. To invite someone over for coffee, even if they're decades younger. To still find reasons to laugh, to celebrate, to connect. Because staying connected isn't just a way to pass the time, it's a way to stay alive on the inside. So if you're experiencing this today, don't hide your sadness. Don't pretend the weight isn't real. But also, don't let it stop you from making space for joy, however small, however new. Let the grief walk beside you, not in front of you. That's how you keep going. Truth number 7. Facing your fragility with courage. There's something incredibly humbling about being in your 80s and recognizing just how fragile your body has become. It's not only about aging muscles or bones. It's the tiny tasks, tying your shoes, steadying a mug of coffee, getting out of a low chair, that suddenly feel like challenges. You don't feel old all the time. But every small ache, every moment of imbalance, becomes a quiet reminder that your body now has limits it didn't before. And if you let that reality settle too deeply, it can begin to chip away at your confidence. You start questioning whether you should walk alone, take a trip, or cook that meal yourself. You begin to organize your day, not around what you'd like to do, but around what feels safe to do. This shift may be necessary, but it can also make your world feel smaller. Still, here's what matters most: fragility is not failure. It's your body's way of showing you how to adapt with wisdom. It's a reminder of the many years you've walked strong, and the quiet strength it takes to continue, even now. I once met a woman named Marilyn, 84, who said, "I don't mind using a cane. I earned it. It reminds me I've walked through a long, meaningful life, and I'm still walking." That mindset changes everything. Because while some people try to hide their limitations, pretending they're still 60, others find real strength in adapting. They use mobility aids. They ask for help. They slow down without shame. And because of that, they often preserve their independence longer than those who push themselves beyond their limits. So don't fight the changes in your body, work with them. Learn your limits, honor your needs. Strength at this age isn't about proving what you can still do. It's about wisely choosing what matters most, conserving your energy, and continuing to show up in life with pride. Carry yourself with grace, with calm confidence, and with the kind of quiet wisdom that only decades of living can teach. Closing reflections: strength and acceptance. Life in your 80s isn't just about managing your health. It's about facing some of the hardest truths, emotional, physical, and spiritual, with a strong heart and open eyes. No, it's not always easy. You don't have to pretend it is. But knowing these realities, and choosing to meet them head-on, gives you power. It gives you back the control that aging sometimes tries to take away. You are not invisible. You are not a burden. You are still here. And that matters deeply. Your stories, your humor, your quiet resistance, they all still matter. So take care of your mind. Speak openly about your emotions. Let loneliness pass through you, but don't let it settle. Keep your heart open. Stay curious. Be generous, even if money feels tighter. Walk with pride, even if your steps are slower now. Because your presence in this world still brings light. Final thoughts. What truly matters after 80? Growing older, especially into your 80s, isn't just about adapting to physical changes. It's about walking through emotional terrain that few people talk about, facing new forms of loneliness, loss, and limitation. You're not expected to pretend it's all sunshine. It's okay to admit it's hard. Some days will feel longer. Some aches will feel heavier. Some mornings you'll wonder what's next. But here's what you should never forget: there is power in knowing these truths. Not to fear them, but to prepare for them. To walk into your next chapter equipped, not just with medications and walkers, but with insight, self-respect, and intention. You're not here by accident. You've lived through decades of change, of joy, of heartbreak. You've built relationships, homes, families, memories. And even if your circle is smaller now, even if the calls come less often, you still matter. Don't let anyone, not even time, convince you otherwise. Your laughter, your opinions, your presence at the dinner table, your stubborn insistence on watching your favorite show in peace, it all matters more than you may realize. So be kind to yourself. Let yourself grieve, but also let yourself love what remains. Find meaning in small routines. In sharing your wisdom. In the way you smile at the neighbor's child or wave to the mailman. Don't hide your pain, but don't hide your pride either. You don't owe anyone an explanation for how you walk through this phase of life. If you need a nap at noon, take it. If you want to call a friend just to reminisce, do it. If your legs ache but your heart wants to see the sunset, step outside. And if you feel invisible, remember, the world may not see you like they used to, but that doesn't mean you're gone. That means you now have the chance to see yourself more clearly than ever before. Because this chapter isn't about proving anything. It's about peace. About gentleness. About choosing how you spend your energy, and who you spend it with. You've earned that choice. You're still a storyteller. A teacher. A survivor. A spark in someone's memory. You've got more life in you than the world assumes. So, what now? Stay connected to what matters. Keep learning. Keep loving. Keep showing up. You don't need to run a race. You just need to walk your path with the dignity that only someone who's lived through 80+ years can possess. And when the world feels like it's rushing past, pause. Breathe. Smile. Because while you may move a bit slower, everything you've carried has made you stronger. You are not done. You are not forgotten. And you are most definitely not alone. If any part of this touched your heart or reminded you of someone you love, share it. Talk about it with a friend. Start a conversation others may be too afraid to begin. The more we name these truths, the less isolated they feel. And if you've made it this far, I hope you feel seen. Your presence here means a lot. And your story, yes, your story, still matters more than you know. Thanks for spending this time with me. We hope to walk with you through many more reflections, moments of strength, and gentle reminders that life, at any age, is still full of meaning.